Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I wanted to give you a little update on my reading. This is going to be really brief and talk to you also about the most recent book I finished, which was Waiting for Godot. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. This is my little commonplace book, which I really haven't been doing so well at keeping up with. But I have a few notes in here on Godot, and I also have some notes on my phone. But before we get to that, I'm in the process of reading The Moon is Down by John Steinbeck. I think I showed this in a recent library haul. I'm really enjoying this book. It's so cleverly written and just like understated. I love it. I'm really enjoying this. I don't know where it's going to go as far as the plot and everything, but it's about this anonymous European town that's been invaded by the Nazis. They're not named as the Nazis, however, but it's clear that's what he's talking about. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes, but I'm just really enjoying this so far. Additionally, I just finished recording a audiobook of The Little Mermaid from this collection someone kindly got me, and that will be coming out sometime this week, probably Thursday or Friday, in time for the new movie from Disney, which, not gonna lie, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. I've genuinely enjoyed most of the Disney live action remakes, if I'm being perfectly honest. Not all of them, but most of them. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's just gonna be a fun movie. Like, I don't want to overthink it, right? It's just a Disney movie, but yeah, the original story is very different. So, I can't wait to share that with you all and see what your reaction is. But let's talk about Godot, and I don't have a copy of it here. I actually returned it to the library already, so we're gonna rely on my notes here and my phone, and just kind of go from there. So what's this play about? Well, quite honestly, it's one of those plays where nothing really happens. It's about these two guys. This takes place, I want to say it's not clear when it takes place, but there are a couple of transients that are hanging out at this tree waiting for Godot, and just kind of trying to pass the time, and a couple of people come by and stop and visit them, but like there's just not much going on here intentionally. That's sort of the point of the play. It's about waiting and why we wait. And I'm going to link actually to a video that R.C. Walden did on this play, and he kind of summarizes it a lot more nicely than I'm going to attempt to here. But that's basically what it's about. It's a existential play. It's not meant to be plot heavy. It's not even meant to tell you a particular message. That's something that has been a mystery all the years since it came out in the 50s. What's the play about? And Samuel Beckett, the author, was rather mysterious about it. He, didn't want to really say, oh, this is the right interpretation or whatever. So I think I'll read a couple of quotes from it if I can find them. Alright, so I tried to pull up the quotes on Goodreads for iPad. I could not find them. I could not locate them. Sorry, maybe I'll try to post them in the video later on. Let's talk about my thoughts on Waiting for Godot in lieu of quotes. So we've got these two guys, VLADIMIR and ESTRAGON, and they're waiting for Godot. And, the play has a very kind of it's an interesting opening. I'd say Act 1 was just not my cup of tea, because they have these kind of rambling, incoherent, or, just very trite conversations. And what I was impressed with, frankly, is that anyone could memorize the conversations they have, especially in Act 1. I thought it felt very random and very hard to follow in a way, which is the intent. There's also some vulgar humor and just morbid humor. So again, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and some of that actually made me kind of uncomfortable. So honestly, I wasn't thrilled about finishing the play, but it's only a play's length, and a friend of mine really likes Beckett, so I thought, let me try Act 2 and see how it goes. And things got a lot better in Act 2. So Act 1, I mentioned they have a couple of visitors in Act 1. This guy named Pozzo, or Pozzo, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Pozzo. He's an Italian, well, is he Italian? I don't know, but his name's Italian. And he has this guy he's walking on a leash named Lucky. And Lucky is his slave, basically. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. And so Pozzo kind of has this sort of easy breezy going air, and he I don't know, he orders Lucky about. There's a lot of humor in this play, kind of in a silent film style. So, you know, repetitions of actions, and if you've watched any silent films, just think that kind of humor, slapstick sometimes. So one of the benefits of reading Godot as opposed to watching it is you can see the stage actions that Beckett asked for there to be, and there's lots of them. He doesn't leave a lot for the actors to ad-lib or to interpret. So that was interesting. But really, what really got me was when you get to Act 2 and Vladimir and Estragon are trying to remember what they're doing there as they're waiting, and a number of the characters, pretty much everyone except Vladimir, has this strange amnesia, like they've forgotten what happened presumably yesterday. And as you're reading through this, you're thinking, okay, that's strange. It's just this one guy is remembering things and everyone else has forgotten. And what does that mean? Did things really happen yesterday? Did they happen at all? Did it happen on some other timeline, right? So that's when it gets kind of interesting from an interpretation angle. Vladimir being so sure he has a good grasp on the situation and what happened, whereas these other characters are kind of like denying that things happened, or they just don't remember. Not that much happened anyway. And this got me thinking, trying to read some interpretations into the play. Okay, maybe this represents, this could represent a number of things, maybe nothing at all, but think about how we view history, for example. People remember different things in history in different ways. Could this be like an illustration of that? Maybe Vladimir is one nation that remembers some events a certain way, and maybe another nation doesn't remember them or chooses to forget them. So there's this underlying tragedy that they just can't agree on what happened. Another strange thing, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is that these characters have different names from different countries. So obviously Vladimir is a Slavic name, Estragon is French, and Pezzo is an Italian name. And, maybe that means something and maybe it doesn't. I kind of decided not to try too hard to figure out what that could mean. I think on Wikipedia it talks about a possible Cold War connotation, but I don't know. I would think it'd be more likely to be World War II, frankly. But, because Beckett's not like saying there's some message to search for, I'm not like gonna spend a lot of time trying to search for it. Anyway, I did think that was interesting though, because either the names mean something or they don't, and why did he choose names with particular origins in a play where nothing seems to matter? Now, I hope this isn't a spoiler, but it could be. I don't know. They never meet Godot, because again, the play is entirely about them waiting for him. And my personal take, though, is that the Italian character Pezzo is Godot. My take is that perhaps they just didn't recognize him, and it's even suggested he could be the person they're waiting for. But maybe he's a disappointment. They're there 2 days, or they wait there one day and they come back the next day, and Pezzo arrives on both days as well. And yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting. He's the only character that seems to know about this place apart from this other character who's the boy who is like a messenger boy. I'm not really sure what the significance is of him, but yeah, my theory is that Pezzo is Godot, and he was just not what they expected. So again, lots of fun and interesting ways you can read the play. Although, funnily enough, Beckett wasn't too keen on people getting too creative with the production of the play itself. I mentioned earlier how he had all these specific stage directions in the text, very, 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 very specific. I mean, down to like the slapstick humor, like what the sequence of things would be and how many times they would do this joke or whatever. And there was like this huge controversy when some country, I want to say it was Sweden, I can't remember for sure, but they wanted to cast the play with all female characters, and Beckett was not having that. I think now that he's passed away, and I think in recent years there has been one or two productions with female characters, but he was very adamant he did not want that to happen. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because here you've got this guy whose play just kind of breaks all the rules and boundaries of what you'd expect in a play, and yet he's like saying, no, I don't want you to break the rules. I don't want you to go against what I've designed here in this play. But, you know, it then leads to the question, okay, what's the significance of the characters being male? Apart from the reason that some of the jokes are very male-oriented. But still, like, I don't know. It's an interesting little fact about this play. Now, I want to get to this other comment that I have about the play, which is that it's really one of the darkest pieces of literature I've encountered in a while. It's quite funny at times, and it's witty in places, and it has that comedy. But you know, it's like existential and nihilistic to an extreme degree. You know, when you're reading Kafka, you know, you get a sense of a human soul longing to be loved. When you read Dostoevsky, you get a little bit further. You get this yearning for God. But you don't really get that kind of emotional quality here in this play. There's this friendship between Vladimir and Estragon, but even that doesn't really approach significant enough depths to really grab you the same way as those other writers, at least me personally. And there's this, you know, throughout the play, they kind of toy with the idea of ending their lives. And sadly, that in the play, it feels like a natural conclusion, which is quite disturbing and kind of made me uncomfortable. And there's a few scenes that almost balance this bleakness out. Like they show some sympathy towards Lucky, and but it doesn't really amount to that much. It's very passing, and these relationships don't carry enough significance to really balance out the darkness in this play. So I had mixed feelings about it. Certainly wouldn't read it as like light summer reading, which is how I kind of went into it. It's very dark, very sad, without even being particularly explicit or anything. It's just, it takes you to a very, very dark place. So, not for everyone. However, as I already mentioned earlier, there's some kind of interesting possibilities for interpretation, and you know, I'm curious to explore more existential writing and maybe read Camus and the Myth of Sisyphus as like a next step in this area. But I would say that, you know, this isn't something I would necessarily seek out often. It's just kind of, you know, it's something different, and I'm glad I tried it. And I will say, I think I will try to watch a production of this, because I think it'd be interesting to see if I have a different reaction seeing it on stage, and what the actors would bring to the characters. Maybe there'd be something I'd pick up on I didn't pick up here. So yeah, just my first impressions of Waiting for Godot, and Let me know if you've read it, what you think of it, any thoughts you have. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.